Welcome to a Community Partners interview where we explore the organizations, opportunities, and resources that look to make change in our daily lives. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif, and you're listening to Voices for Ability Radio, all abilities, all the time. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Tiessen, the publisher for Thrive Magazine. Thrive Magazine is the leading source for information for and about Canada's community of persons with disabilities. Thrive Magazine was born out of the need for special interest media, specifically for Canada's amputee and limb different community and the practitioners and professionals who support it. The publisher of disability and healthcare magazines and books, more than 300 releases and 2 million plus copies in print over 3 decades. The media firm is led by Jeff Tiessen, an amputee for over 45 years. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jeff.
Oh, pleasure, Nafisa. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How about you?
Good, yes.
Amazing. So tell us a little more about yourself and what inspired you to establish Thrive Magazine.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I'm an amputee. I'm a double arm amputee above the elbows on both sides and have been since I was 11. And, that was back in the 70s when there really wasn't much information for amputees. And, the war amps were a good resource at the time, but there was no internet or anything like that. Now, Thrive Magazine is a print and digital publication. So I started the publishing company in the early 90s, as you said, 3 decades. And at that time, we were very general in our publications. One was called Disability Today, in fact. So we were covering everything from housing to healthcare to lifestyle, sports, and then across the spectrum of different disabilities. So with the introduction of the internet and the ability to find information that's more specific to one's disability, and we know in the disability community there is fragmentation, but we're our needs and needs for accommodation, our equipment, devices, they're different from disability category to disability category. So that's really what brought Thrive into play as something very specific for the limb loss and limb difference community here in Canada, of which there wasn't anything. There are and were and are publications in the US, and I mean, some of that content was borderless, but a lot of it had to do with their healthcare system, and I thought we really could use something here in Canada, and it really has got some great traction. We're, I think, 8 years now into publishing Thrive.
Wow. And I've always been very, very moved and very inspired every time I come across the War Amps commercials on TV, and just listening to the children say, in their own different ways and voices, I'm a champion, champion, champion. And they just echo that word champion for everything that they have gone through. It just really inspires me as someone with a disability just to keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's a remarkable organization. I worked with them for them in my early 20s, and just recently on our podcast, Thrive's podcast, Life and Limb, as a plug, we have one of their directors, Rob Larman, who's been with them for 40 years, I believe. And just the stories he was telling and the impact and the immense number of families that have been impacted through their support financially, of course, in providing limbs to youth, prosthetic limbs, but also that peer to peer, that one-on-one, that community support that is just so valuable for amputees, particularly those that have had a traumatic injury too, and their families as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And on your website, I saw something called Resource Library. Can you tell us a little more about the Resource Library?
Well, as a publisher, and you talked about all those issues that we've produced across our number of different titles as well, but you put all this work into something, and then the issue releases, and we're on to the next. And so much of that content is, I mean, we call it evergreen is a catchy or a cliche word, but what we publish today, it would have been useful 8 years ago or longer, and it will be still in 5, 6, 10 years time. So we wanted to not just be a quarterly magazine, but a source, a hub, that resource library where amputees and allied healthcare professionals and families, prosthetists, can go to find information that we've already researched and written about. So it's kind of a best of Thrive, you might say.
Wow, that sounds like a great information hub for sure. And I also saw that you have a tab just for videos. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of videos you all create?
So those aren't ours. Those have been shared with us, and there are some leaders in the amputee community that make really good content, and we're just repurposing that for them, and with their permission, of course. And there many of them are practical in nature. There's some fun ones and probably a few inspirational ones, but it really is about lifestyle information that can provide more independence and better quality of life for those living with limb loss. I mean, we all have our story. So to repeatedly share others' story in terms of how they lost their limb, like I say, we all have one. So that's not the information we're generally looking for. It's how do you manage with limb loss above the knee or above both knees, or a hand or fingers as a partial hand amputee. So just connecting with folks where they're at, you might say, and providing them resources, peers to connect with, and yeah, probably a little bit of motivation and inspiration too.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing helps more than that inspiration, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And on the magazine tab, I saw that you can get older issues on the website and current ones. You just touched on this, but can you tell us a little more about what goes into the magazine? And just remind the listeners again, if you don't mind, about whether you can also get a print copy as well as a digital copy?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we just published digitally the current issue, and then back issues in print are available for purchase, but basically to cover mailing costs to get that issue into somebody's hands by mail. So yeah, but if someone wants to access the current issue digitally at no cost, we do provide that opportunity. So our cover story is always a Canadian with limb loss, and again, we're not looking for those inspirational stories. We're really looking for average and what their life looks like and how they identify with their amputation or being an amputee, and how they manage things and accomplishments. Of course, we don't look past that. So that provides that peer-to-peer opportunity that people can relate to. Occasionally, we have a Paralympic athlete on the cover, an amputee. I'm a former Paralympian. We don't do that often because it's not something that our community generally relates to. We respect and admire, but not our lifestyle. So we look to sport and recreation opportunities that are available to all: adaptive kayaking or canoeing, sitting volleyball, pickleball, you name it. And so that's the sports and rec section. There's always a health and wellness, which leans more into fitness and exercise, both in the gym setting, instructor-led, or at home on your own. Mental health, priority for us too, and we do that more through mindfulness content. We have a partnership with an organization called Tiny Buddha out of the US, and great content comes from them each issue. And that may be about gratitude, that may be about dealing with difficult days, but again, very everyday stuff, that content that people can relate to. New technology, of course, we want to share that with our readers when it comes to prosthetics. Yeah, some of the other sections, the partners that are contributing to betterment of life for amputees. So it's a real cross section, but certainly relates to again, those with limb loss and limb difference.
Perfect. And are any of your issues currently produced in alternate formats such as Braille or Daisy Audio by any chance?
Unfortunately not, and I'm embarrassed to say, Nafisa, we haven't been able to accomplish that yet.
Okay. Well, that's still a work in progress for sure.
Certainly is. We do transcripts, and those are available. So for screen readers, we do provide that way, but alternative formats, not yet.
Okay, thank you. And how much is it to subscribe to Thrive Magazine?
So for 4 issues, it's a quarterly. It's just $18. We think that's a pretty modest price in today's publishing world. And that typically comes with a back issue. We'll get someone started with a complimentary back issue to begin their subscription. And 2-year subscriptions are $30, available online, or you can call me up and I'll take a subscription over the phone. We still do it that way too.
Okay. And I also saw on the website that you have a shop as well. What kinds of things do you sell, or is it where you can buy the current magazine issue?
We have a partnership with a company called Social Architect, and they contribute to the magazine each issue with a 2-page spread called Accidentally Accessible. And it's products that they source that weren't meant to be adaptive products, or with an eye on accessible design, but they are, and they work well for someone with limb loss or the greater disability community. So it's more about showcasing some of these products that are out there that might fit nicely into someone's lifestyle to make life a little bit more convenient.
And can you tell us more about the peer support?
Yes. So very important for amputees, anyone, but I mean, speaking from the Thrive perspective, one of our writers who lost a limb, a leg above the knee, a couple of years ago, she said, I'm in the hospital and I just want to talk to someone, a woman my age with the same type of amputation. And there were male peers available. It just wasn't what she was looking for, or someone below the knee. It's different. So we try and connect folks with similar disabilities, and we do that in partnership with the Amputee Coalition of Canada, that has a certified peer visitor program. So we're a connector there, and a referrer to those that have the experience to do that kind of work, particularly in that acute stage after injury and after amputation. But peer support is another department in the magazine. We are always welcoming content from our readers, sharing their hacks, the tricks of the trade, things that around travel that they've found to make the airport and flying experience a bit better for them, and their prosthesis. So as much information like that can pertain to generally our community, we're making those connections too.
And without using any names, can you share another success story? For example, what supports were put into place when someone asked for help?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, the same woman I'm talking about lost her limb in her leg, again above the knee, in a motorcycle accident, and she wanted to ride a motorcycle again. So through connections that she found and we were able to help with, she's back on a motorcycle. Driving is a big one. We've had lots of calls about how do I drive again, and there is adaptive equipment for that. There's a process through licensed bureaus, or here in Ontario, Service Ontario. So we help kind of guide them through that pathway. That's a big one. Sports, again, how do I get back playing whatever I used to play. And there's a company in the US that makes terrific adaptive, mostly for upper limb extremity amputees, but adaptive products for you name the sport, volleyball, powerlifting, rock wall climbing, fishing. So again, we connect them with those partners who advertise in the magazine too, as well. Yeah, we've just had a young lady. She was, I think, 16 and had an injury, and her parents were very protective of her, and she wanted to get back into sports, but they were fearful of that and protective. And when she brought them Thrive magazine and said, look what these amputees are doing, from, like I said, rock wall climbing, horseback riding, tennis, on and on. And she said it changed her life because it opened her parents' eyes to, yes, we this world is in front of us, and we can't be restrictive and protective. So the young lady was ready to go, but this was helpful for her parents to see that, yeah, there's lots of opportunity out there even after limb loss.
Those are very inspirational stories. And what is one thing that you see happening over and over again to individuals with disabilities that shouldn't be? And how do we stop it?
Yeah, the first part of that answer is easy. The how do we stop it is more difficult. There is unfortunately a have and have not scenario in the prosthetic wearing amputee community. Those with good insurance, workman's compensation, military vets have access to better equipment. And those that don't have those financial resources, the government is not helping, and not helping enough. We're very limited in what we have allotted to us for repairs, for new limbs.
For sure, for sure.
And I mean, it's been scientifically proven. Research has proven that those higher end knees, those microprocessor knees, are not only more functional, but healthier and safer for the amputee. So preventing falls, particularly as people age, the lesser costing are not as safe. And medical costs will follow those in other ways. So there are organizations that are pushing for that, but not enough is being done. When I hear stories about folks that can't afford the limb that they want, that's just not right in our country as I see it.
Yeah, it is definitely, there are many hurdles that people need to jump through just for government funding. And, at the end of the day, it really is not enough. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, it really is, because, the dots aren't far apart to connect that, if someone can return to that productive lifestyle, it's contributing to the community, to the economy, to workplace culture. There's so many benefits of providing what is available to us now. The evolution of prosthetics has been incredible over the last 10 to 20 years. And yeah, I just wish funding would keep up.
Exactly. Are there any events coming up for Thrive Magazine?
Well, something we'll be involved with here in Ontario is the 2025 Ontario Parasport Games, which are in Niagara. I'm in Niagara as well, and as a former Paralympian, I was asked to chair the steering committee, which I'm very excited about. So those games are the end of the month, May 31st and June 1st in St. Catharines. So we're really thrilled about being part of that. There are always conferences and other events that, when they relate to what we do, we like to provide complimentary copies or set up a booth, or just be there to learn as well.
Okay, wonderful. And if listeners are looking for more information, how can they reach out to you?
A couple of ways, but thrivemag.ca is the website for the magazine. And I can be reached at jeff@thrivemag.ca. We also have some other assets in the e-learning world, where we do disability inclusion education through e-learning courses. And that is all at disabilitytodaynetwork.com. That's our parent company, Disability Today. And my email is there as well.
Okay, well, we are out of time. Jeff, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I really enjoyed this interview and learning all about Thrive Magazine, what it offers. But most of all, I just love your passion, and what you're doing is very inspirational, especially with the section for the videos and the peer support. So thank you again very, very much. And this concludes another Community Partners interview. Let's care, let's share, because we've all been there. I'm your host, Nafisah Anif. Until next time.